at some point I realized that it wasn't a little fun anymore, and that I needed to take a step back and ask myself, what is the issue here? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? They've just hurt me so much, or they've set me apart so much. Well, that's what I believed, that I just don't deserve, or other people won't see me as the right fit. But that's not true. And the minute you say yes to seeing things from a different perspective and really asking yourself where this comes from, you can work on it and you can challenge it. And that's what I like about it. Say yes to doing things that are going to challenge you and that are going to get you out of the place that you are stuck in, or that you feel like you need to be in, that you feel like this is the only place for me. Hi community, welcome back to A Cupful. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are well. I hope you are taking good care of yourself. I hope you are enjoying the last bit of the warmth until it gets cold again. That is if you are in South Africa, and if you are in the other parts of the world that are just stepping into spring. I'm so happy for you. I hope you're enjoying that too. In this week's episode, we are going to be talking about the year of yes. Yes. I recently read a book called Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. If you are not familiar with it and you are interested in reading it, I'm sure you can find it on Takealot, but I also saw it at Exclusive Books. I think they have an updated copy. The copy that I was reading was from when she wrote the book in 2014, I believe. She wrote it in 2015, I think. But these events were happening over that period, and so it's a much older copy. I borrowed the book from a friend. So yeah, if you're interested, you can go and find that at Exclusive Books, or otherwise I'm sure you can find it on Takealot. So yeah, I didn't really know what to expect when I was reading that book, but the cover does literally say it all. And Shonda was kind of going, or she wasn't even kind of, she goes really deep into what saying yes was beginning to look like for her and why she needed to say yes. Initially, just to give you a summary without spoiling anything, because I'm not about to do that, just in case anyone wants to read it. But she was in the kitchen with her sister during Thanksgiving, I think, of 2013, their American holiday, and her and her sister were talking about something. I can't remember what. Oh, she was complaining about the fact that she's just getting so many invitations to certain things, and she just doesn't understand why people keep inviting her, something along those lines. And I don't think I even said, I'm sure you're all familiar with who Shonda Rhimes is. How to Get Away with Murder, Scandal, Grey's Anatomy. I don't think I need to say anything else. If you didn't know who she was, now you do. She wrote all of those really very enjoyable series, if I have to say so myself. She's quite good. But anyways, she was complaining and going on, and her sister said to her, "You never say yes to anything, Shonda." And she was just like taken aback by that, and she was literally taken aback by it for a week. And then she decided that she's going to start saying yes to things like invitations to events. And the reason why she used to struggle to say yes is because she didn't see herself in a specific light. Even after the fame, the success, becoming the Shonda Rhimes, she says she uses, it's not an analogy, but she uses this, she kind of paints this picture of when she was little, and she would always play in the pantry in her parents' house, and she had a lot of imaginary friends, and then she took all of her imaginary friends and she turned them into a lot of the characters that we have seen in these series. And she said she was such an introvert growing up, and she was just so shy, and she could have never ever imagined that she would end up being so successful or so respected and so seen. And when it all happened, she was finding ways to hide from it or deny it, shy away from it. And even though she knew she was good at her job and she was an excellent writer and she was just meant to be doing what she was doing, she didn't feel comfortable stepping into that role that comes with that. She was afraid of what people would say about her, how people would perceive her. And so she just said no to stepping into that role. And then eventually she decided that she's going to start saying yes. And she has inspired me to also say yes. And I'm hoping to encourage you to say yes, and to even better encourage you to go and buy that book and read it. Because not that it's changed my life, but it has given me a lot of perspective. And I think that that's so important in this life sometimes, to get a little bit of perspective, a different perspective. I'm a generally outgoing person. I'm quite the social butterfly. I enjoy being around people, and I just love meeting new people, and I love adventure, and I love exploring. But I'm also a little bit afraid of failing, and I'm afraid of how it feels. I don't like how it feels, and so I tend to shy away from it. And then I will sometimes say no to things that may end in failure, because if I say yes, then that means I have to do it, and if I fail, it's going to hurt and I'm going to be embarrassed. So I'm looking to say yes this year to the things that look like they could be failure bound, but I still want to do them, and I still want to completely immerse myself in life. Because just because I'm not going to succeed at it, or just because it's not going to be incredible and amazing, it doesn't mean that I shouldn't do it. If I have the opportunity to do something that will help me grow, that will help me learn, that will help me expand my understanding of certain things, then why not do it? Why not have a better way or a different way of seeing things? So yeah, here's what your year of yes can look like. Saying yes to the things that scare you. Like me, kind of. There are things that really do scare me, and I'm scared of them because I don't want to fail. But yeah, there are things that you should be saying yes to that you are not saying yes to at the moment. And things like having hard conversations are things you should say yes to. I used to be terrified of having hard conversations. And then I went through a period of my life last year where I needed to start having hard conversations with myself so that I can get past certain points. I was literally in therapy, and the therapist said to me, you need to ask yourself some really hard questions sometimes, or you need to ask yourself these kinds of questions. And to me at the time, they were hard, until eventually it became a norm. So it stops being hard when you make it a norm. In the beginning, it's uncomfortable, but then eventually it's just going to be a conversation that you need to have with someone that you care about. So have the hard conversations. Sometimes it will result in you losing people. Shonda had the same experience with a few of her friends. She lost some friends because she started saying yes to having the harder conversations. And because people didn't know her to be the person that would have hard conversations, to be the assertive friend, she was the run over. She was the person that a friend always expected to brush things over or sweep them under the carpet or never want to talk about them, until she became the friend that wanted to talk about those things. And now that she was becoming confrontational, the people that were seeing her as the pushover were becoming uncomfortable. And if a person that you consider your friend is becoming uncomfortable because you are now learning to stand up for yourself, that is not a friend. So get out of there. That's all I gotta say about that. Yeah, you'll lose people, and it will be necessary sometimes. Another thing is saying yes to the thing that requires you to move from your comfort zone. Changing your routine, taking up running or exercising, or trying a new recreational activity. And that's something that I'm trying to do as well. I'm trying to really say yes to getting out of my comfort zone. It can be really comfortable to do certain things and to stay in a certain place because that's what you know and that's what you're good at. And sometimes it's okay and it's good to be bad at things. Sometimes it's okay and it's good to try a thing and not go for it a second time. I really enjoyed what someone said the other day in a conversation. They were saying, I tried this and I'm not sure if I'm going to do it again, or I'm not sure if it's up my alley, but I did. I tried it and I'm proud of myself and I'm glad I did. And I was like, that's exactly the kind of attitude we should all have. Try it. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. But at least you tried it and you had an interesting experience, or you realize that that thing is just not for you. And you could also try it and realize that you absolutely enjoy it and then do it for the rest of however long. You know what I mean? So yeah, say yes to the things that scare you. Say yes to the things that require you to move from your comfort zone. Do it. You're going to thank yourself later. Say yes to the things that challenge you to question your patterns of thinking and living. Have those conversations, those uncomfortable conversations with people that are sharpshooters, that don't sugarcoat everything. Talk about the things that are not so easy to talk about with your family. Encourage conversations that might make other people flinch. Do it. And also ask yourself about how you think and how you're living. Is it as a result of how you were conditioned? Is it as a result of some of the experiences that you had growing up that weren't so great? Are you using certain things as coping mechanisms? Don't be afraid. Saying yes also, I realized when I was reading the book, is not going to be the most comfortable thing all the time. It is going to be sticky. It's going to feel weird sometimes, but do it. Say yes to doing things from a place of abundance. Say yes to really looking at how you see yourself and acknowledge that maybe you do certain things because you don't deem yourself as worthy, or because you think of yourself as broken and irreparable. I've been there before. I've been in a place where I used to look at myself and see myself as really, really broken. And so I would shy away from doing certain things or surrounding myself with certain people because I just didn't think that I was worth it. I didn't think that I was a good fit there. Because look at me, or my experiences, they've just hurt me so much, or they've set me apart so much. Well, that's what I believed, that I just don't deserve, or other people won't see me as the right fit. But that's not true. And the minute you say yes to seeing things from a different perspective and really asking yourself where this comes from, you can work on it and you can challenge it. And that's what I like about it. So please say yes to questioning things. Say yes to new opportunities, new things to do, new work opportunities, business opportunities, moving to a new city or country or continent, making new friends, visiting a new church, just trying new food. Say yes to doing things that are going to challenge you and that are going to get you out of the place that you are stuck in, or that you feel like you need to be in, that you feel like this is the only place for me. I don't believe that. I think exploring is a great thing. I think it challenges us and it encourages us to look beyond where we are and to think about the moreness, the abundance that exists in the world, and the abundance that God is trying to give to us and share with us. Say yes to giving up certain bad habits, such as drinking copious amounts of alcohol, smoking a lot, partying a lot. If you're overindulging, think about giving it up, because it's not good for you. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your physical health. It isn't good for your emotional health. It isn't good for your spiritual health. This is just a general overview that I have. When you are overindulging in anything, it is most of the time, most often than not, a coping mechanism. And I've been there, where smoking was a coping mechanism for me, where drinking alcohol was a coping mechanism for me, where partying was a coping mechanism for me. And the moment I didn't have those things to lean on anymore, and I couldn't numb myself with them anymore, I had to get real and face reality and have the hard conversations with myself, especially, and then go on to have the hard conversations with other people who had affected me badly in my life growing up, and making the realizations that I made. So, yes, the best thing that I could have ever done for myself was to get better, to get healthier physically, to get better and to get healthier mentally and emotionally, and to stop harming myself, thinking that I'm just numbing myself or I am just having a little fun. At some point, I realized that it wasn't a little fun anymore, and that I needed to take a step back and ask myself, what is the issue here? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? So say yes to giving up those bad habits. I've been seeing a lot of videos of this gentleman who quit alcohol because he realized he was addicted and it was messing with the quality of his life. So he documented his entire 90-day sobriety journey on TikTok. And when he got to the 90th day, he realized that he wanted to keep going. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that amazing? You know, when I decided that I was going to go on my own sobriety journey, when I said at the very beginning, I said to myself, I'm never doing it again. So I hadn't chosen a specific amount of days, but I had said I'm not doing it again. And what's really beautiful to see with this gentleman's story and my own, which I'm very much looking forward to sharing, is that we said yes to letting go of a bad habit that was standing in the way of our peace and our happiness. And what a world saying yes opens up to you, because in his videos you can see him, he's getting healthier physically, he's going to the gym, he is working, he is just showing all of the other parts of his life that he's able to pour more into now that he is not consuming as much alcohol, and now that he is pretty much not wasting his time and wasting away drinking and harming his physical health. You know, you can see that he's getting stronger in the gym, he's doing a lot more, he can go a lot further, and that is so nice to see, that saying yes will open up doors for you to deal with other things and handle other things with a lot more care and steward what you have been blessed with so much better. So yeah, and I have the same experience. It really has been amazing to see what has happened since I've stepped back from consuming alcohol completely. And I don't even feel the need anymore, or not the need. I'm going to say I don't have the desire anymore, because I had the desire in the first 2 months. I really wanted a little glass of something, something. And now it's gone. I don't wish to have a drink, to have a shot, it doesn't bother me when other people around me are drinking, and I'm not judgy towards them either. I don't feel any kind of animosity. I realize that this is a choice thing as well. Saying yes to letting go of certain things is a big choice that you make as an individual. And so I will never ever condemn someone else for choosing to consume alcohol or to smoke or to party, whether they are doing it a little bit or whether they are doing it overindulgently or in copious amounts. We are on different journeys, and I've mentioned this on the podcast quite a number of times, that we are all on very different journeys, and we all have very different callings. And when it is the time, God will sit you down and he will make you aware, or he'll make things clear to you. So yeah, you'll have the realization when you have the realization. But I'm just happy for myself. I'm happy for the gentleman that I mentioned. I think that it's great that a person can go from a place where they are depending on other things to soothe their pain, or they are depending on other things to make themselves feel better, to a place where they are depending on God, for example, or they are able to depend on themselves and to find healthier coping mechanisms. So, yeah, say yes. Say yes to healthier coping mechanisms. Say yes to saying no, especially if you're a people pleaser or a recovering people pleaser like myself. The best thing you can learn to do for yourself is to say no. When you don't want to do a thing, say no. Teach yourself to say no, whether you got to read the self-help books or listen to the podcasts that are going to help you deal with your people pleasing, whether you need to go to therapy, or whether you just need to stand in the mirror and practice saying no. Sometimes at the beginning, you have to practice, or I was practicing anyways. It was really never easy for me to say no. I would over explain myself, but now I'm just like, no, I'm not comfortable with that, or no, that's not going to work for me, or no, I can't do that, or just no. And no really is very self-explanatory. If, for example, something I used to struggle with quite a lot is whenever someone would ask me to use my lip stuff, I'd always be like, yeah, sure, yes, very quickly. And now I go, no, I don't share, and that's it. That's literally it. You don't even have to be rude. You just say no. And I'm finding it easier and easier to say no to many, 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 many other things. So, yeah, you learn to respect yourself as well. When you say no to certain things, you learn to respect your wishes. If that little voice inside of you is telling you that we can't do this, we don't have the capacity, or I'm not comfortable with this, you listen to it. And when you're a people pleaser, generally, you won't listen to it. You're going to want to make other people happy. But the minute you start getting in sync with yourself, and you've taught yourself to say no, and you've taught yourself to, for that light to go off, to make you aware, for that thing to go off, to make you aware that this is not going to work, then you start to listen to it. So say yes to saying no. It will do a lot for your well-being, for your peace, just for your overall happiness. Say yes. Just say yes, embrace it, and don't rush things. Learn to be patient, and face the discomfort that you're going to be dealt with or faced with, because there will be quite a lot of that. You are not going to be comfortable all the time. You might even feel guilty. Again, if you are someone who's a people pleaser or like me recovering, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It might sound funny or weird to people that are not people that have ever struggled with people pleasing. Oh, you feel guilty for saying no? Yes, indeed. And that has been thing so that comes from years of something being ingrained in you, or you being socialized a specific way, you being emotionally abused by a caregiver, you being manipulated by a caregiver, gaslit by a caregiver, and so you had to learn to say yes so that they would not revoke their love, or so that they would not disappear from your sight. So yeah, people pleasing is also a coping mechanism. It became my coping mechanism, and then I realized that it's not a healthy one, and so I've had to unlearn it, and I'm still unlearning it, and I've gotten so much further now, and you can do it too if you find yourself in the same position. And keep going if you are someone who is in the same place as me, where you've been putting in the work and making sure that you are trying really hard to have boundaries and to make them clear and to say no. So yeah, just in general, when you're saying yes to the challenging things, to the things that you would never usually say yes to, just be patient with yourself and don't rush it. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some getting used to. Shonda Rhimes, she said it took about a year for her to really get into it and to really feel comfortable with it. So it's going to take time. Be patient with yourself, but don't turn back. Don't give up. Don't do that. Don't do that. So keep saying yes to the things that scare you and excite you, to the things that you have a very certain outcome of or about, and to those that you don't. Don't be afraid to take the leap. Don't be afraid of what other people are going to say. Don't think too much about it, because if you start thinking too much about it, you're going to retreat, and I don't want you to retreat. I want you to get into it. I didn't even realize that I was saying yes, even though I wasn't intentional about it, because I didn't realize that that's what I'm doing. When I was getting out of certain habits, certain thinking patterns, when I was questioning how I was socialized in when it came to certain things, when I was questioning just how I would think and the things that I would indulge in and the reason behind them or the reason behind it, I didn't realize that I had started saying yes to saying no a while ago. But when I read that book, Shonda really put a name to it, and she encouraged me to keep going and to be more intentional about it. So yeah, guys, let's get into saying yes to the scary things, the difficult things, the challenging things. Get out of your comfort zone. Step out of the norm for you and get comfortable with getting uncomfortable. Yeah, this is definitely where we are ending this week's episode. I said my piece. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I have encouraged you to say yes and embrace saying yes more. If you are wanting to put anyone on so that they can get the message too and be encouraged to say yes, to be in their year of yes, please tell them that they can head on over to TikTok. The handle is at a cupful pod if they want to test the waters, because I do post some snippets on there. Otherwise, if you are just wanting to get them in here and get them to join this very, very, very cool community, then you can just send them a link via WhatsApp, or you can tell them that they can listen to the podcast on all listening platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Have a lovely remainder of this week. Work when you need to, rest when you need to. Say yes to the scary, difficult, awkward things. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And most importantly, please don't forget to keep doing the things that fill your cup.